Sorry about that, folks. Welcome to another edition of the show. We're on time this week. Last week, if you didn't catch, I was about an hour late because Matt and I were hanging out and we were finishing up our plans. And anyway, in case you were wondering what today is was the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness. And to give you, I don't want to spoil it all away, but so we do know that Mystic Dan, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, actually did plan to run in this race. And actually, let me see if I can pull up live footage, or not necessarily live footage, but let's see if we have replay footage of the race here. It was close. In case you don't know, the Preakness is the second leg of the Triple Crown in horse racing. It takes place in the Pimlico track in Baltimore, and if you win the Preakness and the Derby, then you're in the running to compete in the Belmont Stakes, which is happening in Saratoga now instead of the track downstate. And if you win all three of those races, then you win the Triple Crown. So let me see if here we go. Just give me 1 minute here. An ad's playing, so that's what you're hearing in the background. An ad playing. So I got the race queued up here. It was quite the finish. And let's see, if in case you missed it, here it is, and see it for yourselves.
His 40th Triple Crown race. So Larry Comus with the call of the Preakness. Larry.
Mystic Dan has moved into line. Here's Imagination and Frankie Dettori for Bob Baffert. They're in. They're all in line. They're off. In the Preakness, Mystic Dan came out very well. So to Imagination, Seize the Gray, goes up in between horses, and Brian Hernandez is going to take back on Mystic Dan as Seize the Gray takes the early lead. Imagination on the outside is second. These two to set the pace, 3 lengths ahead of Mystic Dan and Just Steel. Then Catching Freedom, Tuscan Gold in behind them, Uncle Heavy and Mugatu at the back of the pack. The opening quarter mile was 24.04 seconds for front-running Seize the Gray, who has seized the lead. And Frankie Dettori is keeping Imagination well off the rail, in second, a length behind. And then comes Mystic Dan, who's on the rail just alongside of Just Steel. They've got 2.5 on Catching Freedom, who's fifth and 7 lengths off the lead. Then Tuscan Gold, Uncle Heavy on the inside, and Mugatu. 47.33 was the half mile for Seize the Gray, who heads up the backstretch in front with Imagination, his closest pursuer, in second. Just Steel and Mystic Dan are heads apart, third and fourth. Catching Freedom is well held, fifth in behind them with 5 lengths to make up at the half-mile pole. Tuscan Gold is next. Around the far turn they go, and it is still Seize the Gray who leads the way for D. Wayne Lucas and has been there every step of the way so far. Mystic Dan has made a move, and now he's just to the outside. He's taken second. Then comes Imagination in third as they come to the top of the stretch. Seize the Gray turning for home in front. Mystic Dan confronts him. Catching Freedom now right behind and swinging to the outside. Seize the Gray is still there. Mystic Dan bearing down on the outside. Seize the Gray won't go away. Mystic Dan Catching Freedom moving down the center of the track. But Wayne Lucas has done it. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness. Oh my!
I mean, that was incredible. That was incredible to watch live. Thinking Mystic Dan was going to have some sort of edge, but you saw that horse, Seize the Gray, who actually, what I learned during the coverage of the Preakness is he won the race just before the Kentucky Derby last time, 2 weeks ago, but then didn't run the Derby, and that's a disadvantage, I want to say, probably to many of these horses who ran in the Derby and then ran again in the Preakness. We have these new horses, for example, not just the Seize the Grey, but we also had Bob Baffert horse. If you remember, Medina Spirit back in 2021 tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug, and so therefore all Bob Baffert's horses have been banned from racing in any Churchill Downs race, including the Kentucky Derby. So that puts the favorite of the Triple Crown in kind of an unfair advantage, or at a disadvantage, if you will, because what you have here is a situation where, and this has happened before, even with past Triple Crown winners, this has happened where you have a certain number of horses that run in the Derby, but then you have new horses that run in the Preakness, and as this year had shown, the horse that didn't run in the Derby ended up taking pretty much a very stable lead and was able to outrun the Derby winner. And so it's unfortunate that we're not going to have a Triple Crown. We're not going to have a chance at a Triple Crown. The last Triple Crown winner was Justify in 2018, and then before that, American Pharaoh. So we've seen that done in recent years, but ever since 2020 and the pandemic, we have not seen the favorites win, nor have we seen any horses win both the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness with a shot at potentially winning the Triple Crown. We'll take a look at the stats just to make sure of it, and just see here. Yep, the last time that we actually had. Nope. Yep, I was correct. The last time that we had a horse win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness was back in 2018 with Justify, and he was the last horse to win the Triple Crown. So we'll see, and there's always next year, but I'm just a little bit disappointed that we when different horses win each race, so that means we're not having the opportunity for a horse to win the Triple Crown. And we've seen that done in recent years. So, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And welcome, Rachel. We were just talking about the Preakness, and we just showed the video. In case you missed it, Seize the Grey won the Preakness instead of Mystic Dan, who won the Kentucky Derby, which means we don't have a Triple Crown winner this year. And I know he won the Preakness, but now that leaves off any chances of having another Triple Crown winner. So that means, he could win the Belmont Stakes, so we'd have a 2/3 Triple Crown by early June. And it's interesting how the Belmont Stakes are now being run in Saratoga this year, as opposed to Belmont Racetrack, which I know is downstate. So there's still a chance now for Seize the Grey to win the Triple Crown. Not the Triple Crown, the Belmont. So we will see. Speaking of songs, music that has Grey in the lyrics. Coming up next, we have Seal with Kiss from a Rose on the Grey. So it's not Grave, it's Grey, and I had to learn that after listening to the song and looking at the lyrics. We'll be back with more of the weekend party right here on Forever Living Radio. Well, that's a song that started off in the Bump It or Dump It, and then it made its way onto the charts, the bottom half of the charts, uh, if you if you will. But still, this is quite interesting how music goes, especially these new songs that come off of TikTok or any songs that are fairly new, and then they get enough traction, get enough popularity, and they become a hit. We'll have more of course, of the Bump It or Dump It. We got 4 new songs tonight in the Bump It or Dump It that we'll have that are waiting for your votes. 2 of them obviously are going to be from Taylor Swift's new Tortured Poets Department, but then we have some new 2 new challengers that will take on the big giant. So, but before we do that, it's time to bring back the show and tell. Now, if you don't know what this is actually outside of Corning, New York, outside of a job that I did at a Hilton hotel. And this, if you look at this just looks like something out of a movie or something out of a painting, but these are real hills, and I've been down there, and it's quite remarkable, the luscious green that you have, or the scenery in general that you have here. And I mean, just look at that. It's just amazing. It's beautiful. It kind of reminds me of the Windows XP background in a little bit, but actually there's a bike place or there's a bike path going out near DeWitt that reminds me more of the Windows XP background, but this is a close second. Next, what do you see? This is me playing basketball, taking the first shot in Mercer Park.
Oh, what a beautiful day at Mercer Park. Jordan gets the first shot on this glorious day.
And that's my friend Matt in the background. That's my friend Matt in the background who took the video. And if this sign looks familiar, this was actually in the kitchen over at 51 Oswego Street, the house that we're trying to sell. And I found this when we were cleaning out the porch in the garage over at Mom's house for Mother's Day. And I wanted to take it back with me so I could take a piece of 51 with me. So as you can see, it is hanging over my kitchen now, above the cupboards, above the sink. Not quite exactly where we had it at 51, but it was close. And you can see... oh, thank you. Thank you, Alex, for liking the shot. And this is... I believe I talked to you about this in a previous show, how this is the intersection of Oswego and Oneida Street. This is the place where I got hit. And as you can see, they must have listened to me. The village must have listened to me. And now they've put a crosswalk here. The crosswalk's been there all along, but I'm glad that they've done this. You may recognize this building as the building that's 2 doors down from 51. Notice anything different? You see the first floor is now being painted blue. I'm interested to see why they made such a decision, and are they going to paint the rest of the building blue as well? And this is actually back in the hotel. This is actually the hotel that I stayed in Thursday night. This was in Hornell, New York, and this is the first time that a TV has actually welcomed me. So I thought that was a nice touch. And then these are pictures of the room itself. It's very spacious. This is the view outside of it. Hornell, New York. And I do like Hilton hotels. It's quite interesting because I've been working at these Hilton hotels, doing some network installations, and you can see being able to actually stay in one of the rooms is it's very cozy. So I thought that was interesting. I thought the most interesting part was the TV welcoming me. That's the first time that it's not easy at all. No, it's not easy making those shots, and it takes a lot of practice. This photo was taken tonight. I was the Wing Fest was taking place in the Inner Harbor, where you actually go to. You can do two wings for $3 at various tents, all competing for the People's Choice Award in the best wings. And what we actually see here is two of the local news anchors on the local TV station, CNY Central. Over here we have Abby Buddicavoli, who does the morning and noon TV news on CBS Channel 5. And over here, Amanda Hall, who used to work for the NBC3 station. And I saw them. I saw them and I thought that's who they were. And I wanted to introduce myself to them and say I was a big fan. It is different to shoot at a park because you don't have the lines. Number one, unlike the Y or unlike a professional or unlike an indoor court, you don't have the free throw lines. You don't have those guides, and it's easier to lose the ball sometimes. Oh, I liked the Ale and Angus Dr. Pepper barbecue flavor. I tried a lot, including Pizza Man. And I also liked the Limp Lizard, but Limp Lizard didn't compete, so I had to go with my second best, which was the Dr. Pepper barbecue. They had quite interesting flavors, some spicy, others not. I'm not a fan of the spicy. Oh yeah, the double rims. I didn't realize the park baskets had the double rims. I don't notice that the basketball hoop has double rims, but it's difficult, and the feel is very different. So that's the show and tell, and I mean it was interesting. Yes, all the flavors were interesting. I like going to these events, but I also oh yes, it is time for a summer haircut. I've been busy traveling, busy with work. I have scheduled an appointment with Latress on Monday, so that is when I'll be going. That's when I'll be going in to get a haircut. Also to take the car in for its New York State inspection. I do have the registration. I did get the new registration today, so that's on the car. So coming up, we're gonna go back into the music now, and we'll have more coming up. Stay tuned, get ready for the Bump It or Dump It, and a lot of other stuff. We'll see where the night takes us. And we're not quite going back to the music just yet. I was looking through my Facebook memories and I found something interesting. An additional kind of a show and tell bonus. According to my Facebook memories, it was 2 years ago that I got the Prius. And here it is, all shiny, new, and or at least it was a 2016 model, and it was new to me. And come to think, it had 36,000 miles on it when I got it. 2 years later, I'm almost reaching 140,000. That just shows how much I've traveled over the last 2 years. It's hard for me to fathom. It's hard for me to believe how many miles I've put on this thing and where I've taken it. I mean, technically, it has gone through Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. It has technically traveled through 5 states already, and it's gone back and forth. I use it as my office, and quite literally to travel to from the sites. And it was Elizabeth who found that particular vehicle on Facebook Marketplace, and I was a little bit hesitant at first because I thought it didn't have all the features that I wanted. But then after going aftermarket, purchasing things like the blind spot monitor or the whatnot, and it did have a backup camera for a bit, but then the wiring on it started to go. We were just talking about how it was 2 years ago since I got this car, and when we got it, it had about 35,000 miles. Now, 2 years later, it has almost 145,000. So that's okay. And looks like Mom was able to make it after all. She was going to. I thought she was going to go see Syracuse Stage play tonight, but I guess those plans fell through. It's quite the feat that we put so many miles on that vehicle, and so that's just a bonus. Yep. So that's a bonus. Earlier in the show, we were talking about the winner of the Preakness, as well as doing some more show and tell, showing a hotel room and whatnot. So just trying to catch Mom up on the what we've done at the show. So 1,000 miles on the Prius. The Irish pub music love story. It's called Once. Okay. All right. Just keep us posted. 145,000, I believe. Over the last 2 years, going from 35,000, starting out with going, I think 35,000 when we got the Prius, going up to now 145,000. 145,000 miles on that now. A bat has joined us to eat all the mosquitoes. Oh, the bat does feel like home, yes. Yes, good that it's a Prius. I want to make sure that I can get as many miles out of that vehicle as I can. I want to treat it as best as I can. Speaking of home, we saw let me bring up that whole wheat bread sign again, which I was very grateful to be able to take home. Yep, so this was in the kitchen over at 51, and now I've hung it up over my kitchen. I was able to hang it over my kitchen so I could take a piece of 51 Australia Street with me. If you can't see, oh, there it is. The whole wheat bread sign. I consider it to be a fixture at the 51 Oswego Street house. And last week we learned that I think it was Grandma gave it to her as a gift. Maybe the batch from Betty's past family. At our house, could be. Could be. Well, we'll be back. When we come back, it's bump it or dump it time. And may the best song win. And might be as close as the Preakness, or maybe closer than as close as the Kentucky Derby. We will see. Yes, and speaking of special, we come to that special time in the show. You know it, you love it. It's time for the famous or infamous Bump It or Dump It. We got the big ones. We're going to start off strong, actually. Bon Jovi is coming up with new music. Yes, did I say that right? Yes, Bon Jovi has come out with new music. And the first one that you're going to hear is quite enoughly titled Legendary. This, hope you like it. If you do, bump it. If you don't, dump it. We'll see how they've come. Please enjoy Bon Jovi with Legendary, the first offering on tonight's Bump It or Dump It. Hope you enjoy it. And we had some new listeners joining us during the first song, and well, mostly Laura's husband Dave. Laura says, pretty much this and Elizabeth and Alex have given this song a bump vote. Still waiting on Rachel and Mom, and so next up we have, as soon as I get this rolling, next up we're going back into a more modern. This is another artist who recently released a new album. Billie Eilish released her new album. It's called So Hard and was it Hit Me Loud and Soft. That's not Hit Me Hard and Soft, excuse me. And one of the singles off of this album is called The Diners. So first time listening to this song, we're going to find out together. Voting begins now, and this is Billie Eilish with The Diner. Voting begins now. Okay, Mom, if you were wondering what song we're on, it was called it's by Billie Eilish, and it's called The Diners, off of her new album that she released this week. And for most of you have all voted dump for it, which is okay. And that's why we play this, because that's why I get the live feedback that I do, so that I can gauge what music works for the audience and what songs don't. Up next, we have the second half of our Taylor Swift bracket. The first one is actually a reference to a famous, I guess, a famous actress a long time ago, back in the 1900s, Clara Bow, or is it Clara Bow? Oh yes, okay. Phineas and Billy tend to write songs together. Here we have Clara Bow, which is a reference to a 1920s actress, rose to stardom during her silent film era of the 1920s and successfully made the transition to talkies back in 1929. So she was a big star back then. And here we have Taylor Swift ultimately comparing this legendary actress from back then to her almost 100 years later. Let me know what you think. We'll talk about it on the other side. You know, as we continue to listen to more of these tracks from the Tortured Poets Department, I'm especially listening back to them, the ones that we've played so far. I'm starting to taking a liking to them, and I'm starting to take back a little bit what I said. But we haven't listened to all the album yet, and I will reserve judgment until we hear all the tracks as a whole. I thought this one was a little bit catchy. We'll see as we roll along. Next one, and we've saved the best for last. This is called The Alchemy, and I believe if you listen to some of the lyrics, this one is roughly or mostly about her engagement with, or no, don't want to say engagement. I do not want to say engagement because they're not married yet. But this final one that we're going to play, if I understand this correctly, it has some lyrical references to her relationship with Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Never heard of it before. We will see. I don't really know. I don't know how we're going to feel after this. But without further ado, I give you The Alchemy from the Tortured Poets Department. And vote what you will with it. I won't mind. I think after listening to everything else, that's probably one of my most favorites on the album so far. It could have been faster. I've noticed a lot of these songs on the album just are going at a ballady pace, and I can understand it with the lyrical content, with what some of these songs are trying to say. I just wish this one could have been faster. And I know that there were a lot of songs that I felt like they just go too slow. Some go at a reasonable pace, but others just go too slow. This one was a ballad, which I get, but I think I would have bumped it more if it went faster. So I know how Elizabeth likes to use fractions of bumps. If I were to vote, I would do a 3/4 vote. The other quarter dump. The other 1/4 dump just because of it's slow. Just because I felt it's too slow. But that's just me. This song has gotten a lot of bumps. It's actually How Did It End and The Black Dog. Oh yes, I take requests, so we will try to get those on soon, probably. No promises for next week, but I know So Long London has been on the request list for at least 2 weeks now. The Black Dog. Are those on the regular album or are those on the anthology? How Did It End? I'm going to have to listen to those. But thank you very much for playing, and it's tied. It's tied between the Bon Jovi song and The Alchemy. So I guess we better close the show with... oops, that's not what I wanted to hit. They might be on the anthology, we'll have to see. That's not the button I wanted to press. Okay. Oh, before we do anything else, this is the perfect time to remind you, or to remind myself, tomorrow, 10 years ago tomorrow, marks, I can't believe it, I'm saying this, 10 years ago tomorrow, marks my, the anniversary of when I started the research team with Brian. Yes, Brian DeSono, who is a frequent listener, or sometimes occasional listener, and I don't even know if I have the song, but in honor of that 10-year anniversary and of me starting the research team, I am going to play a song that reminds me most of him, and I know it's not one of the it's not one of the lost and forgotten, I'm sorry, it's not one of the hits that we played for the Bumper to Dumper tonight, but in honor of Brian, I'm going to say thank you, Brian, thank you, Yang Wang, thank you for the entire SU research team for giving me such an opportunity to make a difference in the disability community as well as in the IT, or at least the computing, the general research community. What I did with the team was nothing short of special. I know it was hard work at times, and it was no day. It wasn't 100% easy day all the time, but I'm sure it was worth the skills and the knowledge and meeting people who had different disabilities. And if there was still some way for me to pay it forward, I would. But this is for you, Brian. I'm shouting you out. And he's doing he's doing great stuff anyway, but I don't know exactly what he's doing. But this is for you, Brian DeSono, and the rest of the research team. 10 years, I embarked on a lifetime, on a life-changing journey, which some of the days I look back on fondly, and I'll never forget this experience. So, for you, Brian, I'm going to play one of your favorite songs of all time, the rock version. This is Demi Lovato, cool for the summer. It's quite fitting that summer is almost right at, almost a month from, it's almost a month from now. And right around the corner, so it's the appropriate time to play it. We'll be back. Mazel tov. I'm signing off, and new this week. I have a new catchphrase. Always stay, forever living. We'll see you next week.